We are live. Hood Heroes TV. How y'all doing? Here with Jewel Dropper once again. It was so nice we had to do it twice. Coming right back. That was such a good conversation yesterday. Um, so we here. We here. How you doing today? How you feel?
I'm doing all right. I just wanted to come back and say it was World War II, and it was President Roosevelt in regards to who commissioned um, our black soldiers to build the Alaskan Highway. I don't know why I couldn't think of that, but I had worked and I had been up for hours, so I was already tired. But I just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Okay. So I wanted to start with this because I think it's very important. So we have just pulling up. It's a ABC News story. You have the CBC to issue specific guidelines for the African American community due to the suffer of the coronavirus. So CBC to issue specific guidance to Black communities disproportionately suffering from the coronavirus. So like I was saying, this could go one or two ways. One way is a full all-out attack on the Black community, the criminalization of the Black community, and the other way is this could actually be used to our benefit in our push for a Black agenda and reparations. And the reason why I say that is we should break this down. I think it could go either way depending on how we move. So how we should utilize this is say, look, y'all can't be running that game on us. All right. We realize that November is coming, needs the economy to run right for him before November. Because if the stock market crashes again, which they say that it will, that's not going to be good for him. So you got a lot of things at play. So it says the CDC to Black community, and it's funny. They true.
You're really breaking down. It's kind of like you're talking in water. Can't hear you. Hello? I guess are you there? So basically, for me, it's like I think the ground is changing so quickly underneath them that they are reaching and grabbing for narratives. Because now that we're speaking up and we're speaking out, they're kind of confused. They don't know which way to go. Like, do we help the Black community? Do we not help the Black community? But either way, we're going to be a factor in this thing. And I think with the ground shifting so quick with them, they are reaching for. Can you hear me now? No. Hello. Hello.
I can hear you now. Go ahead. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Well, yeah, you had disappeared, so I was just kind of putting my 2 cents in. What I'm thinking in my head is like the ground underneath them is shifting so quickly because we don't start speaking up and speaking out. And so they're trying to get stuff out there, and they're grabbing for whatever narrative that they can grab for, because now we know we're a factor in this thing.
Yes.
Good or bad. Whenever we're on the front page in the front news and they're issuing stuff directed towards us. Now, we don't like how it's being directed towards us or what it is. Because for me, the only thing you can do for me
Let me
is
get rid of
cut
this
me.
buster ass nigga. Hold on.
Oops. Okay.
I got from this dude. I got to hear from this dude. Let me. I think I muted him.
You muted him?
Buster. All right, go ahead. Sorry, I don't need to hear from him.
I think he's a chess.
Sorry to break your wisdom.
He's just a chess.
Yeah, he ain't talking about that.
No, he's like, oh, don't smoke, don't drink, no what. Well, if we weren't so freaking unhappy, we wouldn't need all those crutches. Like, we ain't getting to travel the world. We don't get to go take our kids to amusement parks every week. We have limited joys as it is. So like all that, I'm not really trying to hear it.
Mm-hmm. So they met with 400 leaders of the African American community. 400 leaders. This is a call.
Yeah. Get your people in check.
This is on this is on Friday.
Right.
So who is these Negroes on this call? And we need to be engaging them. And
Well,
what did they talk about? But who are they?
That's the
and
thing.
Why is this? Well, one they say Reverend Jesse Jackson and Derrick Johnson, president of NAACP, for one.
See, and those
I'm not seeing any specifics though.
Well, we're not going to. But you know what? I will definitely be in touch with our NAACP chapter here. I want to know what was on that call. And I am an NAACP member. They're not worth anything. Like they hate to see me coming when I go to those meetings. But yeah, I want to know what was said. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. For real. But they better make sure that what we have to stand on is them not criminalizing our community. That's the big thing that I'm looking anymore.
Let's put that, make sure ... anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I am hopeful for though, is that if they're coming with any fuddy-duddy stuff, we've been talking now for 2-3 years at least. Hopefully, when these pastors and leaders or whatever, when they come back to us, we have now a backbone, right? And we have somewhat of a better political education. And we be like, no, that ain't gonna work. That, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of concerned in regards to what is the approach going to be.
Right. Yeah.
They're talking about some corona tests.
I agree.
If they talking about some corona tests before they talking about a paycheck, not even a paycheck, a reparations check, or some resources, like, I'm not really trying to hear what they got to say. I'm just not.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, we gotta keep our foot on their neck, you know. But we gotta look at the big picture, what's going on. We are hated all over the planet, and we gotta be real about that.
Okay,
When Asia,
but make sure you make it clear that how we confirm that for sure 100% today.
help
Now
me
we
out.
know.
Help me out.
Asians are practicing genocide in regards to us. It wasn't okay for them to get stuck with coronavirus being attached to them and their people, but now it's more than okay for them to attach it to ours.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about, okay, there was that first wave, and now they're trying to create a second wave, and it looks like they're trying to create that second wave on our backs. And like I said yesterday, we ain't got nothing to do with Wuhan.
Mm-hmm.
None of that. So, I mean, for me, that is confirmation that it is about the American Negro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because if you're having these conferences that are about us, but you didn't want to talk to us when you talk about, oh, cut our check. You want to talk. For me, this is it's not genuine, because when we was trying to talk to these politicians and call them out and invite them to venues and things like that, they didn't want nothing to do with us. And now all of a sudden, oh, it's not affecting the Black community. Now it's all arms reached out. Like, I'm sorry, that's not what it is. So for me, in regards to like how the coronavirus story is rolling out, that's all on our backs. And now it's perfectly okay, like I said, for us to be associated with it, but it was not okay from where it came from for that nationality of folks to be associated with it. That's genocide. Words and language matter.
Yeah.
That is genocidal language all day long. I don't care how you look at it, up, down, sideways. That's what it is. So for me, that is definitely confirmation. Yeah, it's about some other Negroes in some other countries, but no, it's about the American Negro.
Yeah, definitely. It is. And if we don't watch out, the same thing that's happening in China is going to happen here. So it all depends on how we stand on it. It all depends on what type of standing we do. You know, I don't trust no vaccines. I don't trust no tests. I can't even trust the numbers that they're giving out. You can't trust any of it. And if you can't trust any of it, you can't roll
with none of it.
With none of it. Because you're lying. It's lying from top to bottom. They can't be trusted. And who elected Bill Gates? Nobody.
And we can't continue to do this one off, two off, three off. We can't continue to move like that. We got to get on our square, and we got to stand on that bitch, and we got to say what it is. They don't get to hide anymore. Like we don't get to hide anymore. They don't get to hide anymore either. Good and evil is a black and white story all day long, and don't let anybody convince you otherwise.
You're absolutely right. Let's check this out. This is the doctor saying that information has been exaggerated by, the CDC orders doctors to exaggerate COVID-19.
Can you hear it? I can't hear it.
Yeah, I can hear it.
I can't hear it.
Mm.
What was that, Fox News? No, that's not Fox.
No. You still can't hear it?
No.
Let me exit that. Let me exit that. I'm going to get off that because it says the page is unresponsive. So I'm not going to play video.
I bet the page is unresponsive.
So, boom. Leave that. Let me go back to this. So, all right, take it from me. Y'all do your own research. The CDC is telling doctors to exaggerate COVID-19 deaths and definitely COVID-19 deaths on death certificates. So if somebody dies of high blood pressure, a stroke, heart attack, if they go back and do an autopsy, whatever, and they find that they had COVID-19, they are listing COVID-19 as the cause of death. So you got CDC exaggerating the COVID-19 numbers along with them trying to roll out guidelines for our community. I don't trust it. That's me.
I don't trust it either. When have we ever been able to trust the American government? They gave us civil rights, which should have been human rights, and then next thing you know, not even a couple years later, they started importing all of these other buffer cultures to make sure that we didn't gain anything.
As soon as right after civil rights, that's when they did that. It didn't take them long at all, you know? So you can't trust them. Can't trust them not one bit.
But the thing about it is now, though, is like we don't give them a choice. And I don't think as a group we haven't learned that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you're potty training your child. Who gives them little motherfuckers a choice? Either you're gonna learn how to potty because I said you don't have a choice. So that's where we're at. We're at this junction. Like we can't afford to keep giving them choices off of our backs. That's not just, that can't fly anymore. I mean, I don't care who it is, from your next door neighbor to your local senator to your local politician. That's it just can't that can no longer, that's not sustainable. Since they like to use sustainable so much.
You're right.
That's not sustainable.
Mm-hmm. I agree. How this thing's supposed to go, basically the public servants are supposed to be following the will of the people. We literally supposed to be telling them what the hell to do and how to do it. And they're supposed to want to do it.
Yeah, but then, like the last 2 or 3 election cycle, I noticed like there's a boldness and this arrogance and this sarcasm and this vitriol for the constituencies, white and black. It just blows my mind. Like, you got voted into that seat. You're supposed to take what I say into consideration, especially if there's enough of us. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, I don't want to say like white supremacy got everybody head fucked up.
Yeah.
Is it for the greater one or is it for the greater good of all? Like,
Right.
you know. So that arrogance and that boldness and that sarcasm, like, you know, just like that incident with that mayor in Florida, you know, who refused to act, but still she cut off people's lights, and in the middle of a pandemic, you know, to pad her pockets and to get along with all her buddies. Like, that kind of arrogance needs to stop. These are not servant leaders. I don't know what these people are.
Yeah.
And for me, a lot of it should be a given. And why are we standing up in these people's faces having to talk to them about stuff that just should be a given? That's just common, basic sense.
Yeah.
It's like common sense has been turned into having no sense. And we're supposed to go along with that. Like, I don't see how Black Americans can continue to do that. And you know what I know for a fact? White Americans are not going to continue to do that, no matter how much they hate us. They're gonna be about theirs regardless.
Yeah. And I actually think we could find some common ground on this. We could find some common ground with some of them on this. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, you know, at some point we're gonna have to, but like, my whole thing is when you talk like I talk, they get offended, and you know, and at this point, like, can we afford to go along to get along when the common ground is they own it? You know what I mean? They own the common ground, so.
No, it's going. So you absolutely right. They own the common ground. So you know what that means? They got to come to our ground. They got to come on our ground, because
that's how I'm looking at it.
We've been on the common ground. We can't even play around with this thing no more. Mm-hmm. We got to be specific and not pull no punches. No, we not playing games with y'all. It ain't no games to be played. It ain't about making people feel comfortable. The reality of it is you need to check your people.
Exactly.
If you're down with humanity being free, you have to check your people.
And we have been checking our people. You see how we punish Kamala Harris. We punish Cory Booker. You know what I mean? As these flakes and these bootlicks roll out, we are punishing them. We're punishing them in the streets. We're punishing them on Twitter, on Facebook, on social media. They got to start punishing their people. They got to take care of their swamp, and we got to take care of our swamp.
Exactly.
And all this stuff about, you know, blood is red. Yeah, we know that, but there's nuance, and that nuance matters. You just don't just continue to run roughshod over us because you own the ground.
Right. Right. Yeah, we can't play them games no more. No, it ain't gonna go like that. And that goes for the politicians. Like, we literally have to tell them, this is what we want. We are the people. Like, we got to go to them city council meetings. Okay, we are the people. You're a public servant, and this is what we want. That's it. If you don't want to oblige, we're going to have to kick you out of office.
Exactly.
You know, there's, of course,
and people can't be no ifs, ands, or buts about it too. Just like we chastise our children, we know that has to happen on the spot, on the dot. It can't wait for the next 10 minutes because they forgot what it was about. When we train our dogs, we do the same thing. That punishment has to come, that next cycle. They have got to be up out of there.
And I want to look into, how do you remove somebody in office? You can get them out of office with a certain number of petitions too, right? With a certain number of signatures.
I do believe so, but I'm sure that varies from state to state or what the laws and the rules are with that. But yeah, because I know that they've been trying to, recall Dunleavy that's for sure.
That's what it is, a recall. So yeah, it's about them recalls. It's about primarying people out of there, getting them out of there, and run your own candidate for a particular office. But we got to be local. We also have to be looking global at this thing. This thing is bigger than politics. This thing is even bigger than reparations at the end of the day.
Because what America needs to know, just like Pharaoh said the other day, whoever controls Africa controls the world. And I'm sorry, I do not want to be colonized again, and I damn sure don't want to be colonized by China.
No. No, it's not happening.
But that's what it's looking like, though.
That's what it's looking like, but this is the interesting thing about it. When we look globally, Africa has a certain level of karma that it has to deal with for allowing them into their continent and run roughshod the way they have.
I said that a long time ago, but look, you know what? Africa didn't have any infrastructure, and that was their whole thing. America, the West kept them down a lot. We didn't give them all the things that we should have given them. America don't ever want to give anybody black nothing.
That's right.
And so when they
can't blame them.
I can't.
Yeah, you're right.
And then China was being, but I've been watching this for 20-something years. China was being soft there in the beginning. Oh, we'll get you some roads. We'll get you some railroads. We'll upgrade your mining thing, and we'll have like a hands off. And then, it'll be all your people working, and you just bring it to our trucks and go on. And then the encroachment, and it's more encroachment. So, like, America's going to lose that one. This white supremacy mindset about nobody else can exist, and there's got to be a level of power, and there can't be a level of shared power. You know what I mean? We end up with these messes. I don't want to be colonized by China. I don't want to speak Chinese. You know what I mean? The only thing I want to do, maybe, is go to a Chinese restaurant, but right now, that's canceled.
No.
That's canceled.
Yeah, that's not going down.
It's not. You can't get my, it's just like, no, I can't. You can't get my money for no braiding hair. You can't get my money for no wigs. You can't get my money for no hair products. Like, I done started making my own hair products because that's all that owns the stuff up here is Asian folks.
Well, I wish the majority of our sisters took that approach and said to hell with Asian hair
product, all that.
That whole cosmetology industry with the Asians, hair, nails. I wish the sisters would let that go because
we innovated it, we created it, but we're not reaping the benefits of it other than to be a consumer of it. Then you know what? If that's the case, we need to let it go.
Yeah.
I mean, making your own hair products is not that hard. You just need some moisture and some wax, I'm saying wax just out of a lack of better terms. You know what I mean? It's not hard to make your own hair products. There's aloe vera out there. There's olive oil. There's coconut oil. There's essential oils. You can whip you up something real good and get really good results from that. We have to come off of that.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be forced to. But
there would be no industry without us. They wouldn't have an industry without us, and we'd have to all get on one page and just shut it completely. I mean, completely down, like zero participation in their economy with that. Zero, and that's serious.
But guess what? It's not even just about the hair and beauty. Also, if some say made in China, we don't need to pick it up.
There's nothing in my house that's made in China but this chest over here. And I do have one thing that's made in China, but it's worth a whole lot of money, and I got it at a yard sale. You know what I mean? But I started getting rid of stuff made in China back in my daughter was born 1996, 92, 93. I could just see it because the products that were coming in from Walmart, like you're trying to buy a desk and it's $150 and it's all press board and plyboard. It's not sustainable. I just spent $150 and I could have went somewhere. You know what I mean? All that junk was just falling apart just under normal use. So now I want something of quality, like I'll go buy it at a yard sale or something. I'll check the structure of it. I might have to spray paint it with a can of spray or something like that. But I've been stopped messing with made in China products because I know what American made products look like, what they feel like, how long they last. I've been left them products alone long time ago. And the rest of us should too.
Yes.
I mean, stay out of Walmart with that bullshit because that's all it is bullshit.
Right.
You're just throwing good money out for bad when you deal with Walmart type housing products.
Right. Right. We got to get to the point where we're producing again, and we literally are picking up skills and creating and filling that void, because if not, somebody else is going to swoop in and do it, whether it's the Mexicans, whether it's the Arabs, no matter who it is. We got to start creating stuff again. Us, for real. And that's just on the economic tip.
You know what, China, this is what I found that was interesting. You know, China was taking our garbage for years. I want to say at least a decade. And separating it out and reconstituting it into new and better things. And it was our garbage. Okay. They just now, like year before last, said, oh, we're not taking any more of America's garbage unless it's clean. Before, they were taking it as it was, ad hoc, just the way it was. They built a bunch of I want to say cottage industries from our garbage. I seen that. I'm gonna see if I can find that documentary so I can send it to you.
So they was using our garbage. Yeah.
The stuff out of our computers, our paper waste, our plastic waste. They were reconstituting it into new stuff.
Yeah.
And they just now said now they're not taking it unless it's clean, and they're reducing how much of it they're taking. So there's a disconnect we have somewhere.
Yeah, it is.
So I would like to see these cities work in the same way that a forest works, how a forest cleans itself and reestablish. You know what I mean? That's going to take some thought and some work, but the technology is there for us to do it. The oligarchs are just not allowing that technology to surface to the top and for that to happen. And I'm sure it's going to come into play, but they're not going to want it to come into play for the greater public. It's just going to be something that they get to enjoy, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah, I think the biggest thing we have to worry about is us.
Yeah.
We got to get on board and start chin checking these folks and putting our foot on their neck. That's really all it's going to be. And if you're supposed to be a representative for the people, come here. You need to do this. This is what you got to do. Who said it? The people did. Oh, what's your job? You a public servant? Okay. That's when you need to go.
I know this last go round when I was at these little meetings, I was just like, white women just up there talking about their issues. I'm just like, yo, hold up, Becky. Check it out. You know what I mean? And I know the numbers are so small up here that I don't have any sway. But when these white women look in my face and they tell me that they know what's going on and that they know there's a genocide, that just makes me want to show up with them even more.
Mm-hmm.
So you telling me you gonna look me in my face and tell me that you know, but you're not gonna do nothing about it? Yeah, no.
Right. And you know what else this thing shows is it shows that we be winning. We be raking in wins and don't even be knowing it. Because we so used, we don't even know what it looks like. But we gotta understand this whole coronavirus thing didn't roll out until Biden secured the Democratic nomination with Super Tuesday. After Super Tuesday, that's when this COVID-19 stuff started hitting, you know, over here.
Right.
Of course, they knew about it in the Senate, and you had senators pulling their money out the stock market. Bill Gates, he had stepped down from Microsoft. All those CEOs start stepping down. So they knew, but they said, we're not going to really go in on it until we see how the Democratic Party is going to go. And had Bernie not been so racist and embraced reparations and Black agenda plan, then maybe we'd be having a different conversation. But he didn't even reach out because he got some racist issues he need to deal with.
I'm sorry.
And I guess
real Jews don't fuck with fake Jews.
Okay.
That's that.
That's what it is. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Because if it was, but he marched with King though. He marched with King.
That's a photo op, far as I'm concerned. And how long ago was that? And look at what he has and what he owns compared to what we have. And he made sure his own people got check after check after check for years after years after years. I'm sorry, real Jews don't fuck with fake Jews. I mean, on a personal level.
On a personal level, yeah. On a personal level, at the end of the day. But you know, who's running the Democratic Party? And there we have it. And there we find ourselves in the situation we're in.
I left the Democratic Party 20 years ago. So
right.
They had not given me a reason to even look back at them.
I know it.
You know, so yeah, I've been independent for a long time.
And that's how we are.
I want everybody to win.
Yeah.
In your winning, you're gonna respect me. And when I say me, I mean my people as a self. You know, but yeah, it's they gave us nothing to look for. So right now I'm just looking and seeing how is this gonna fold out. I think Joe's gonna end up getting kicked out of there.
Hold on, let me see. You think what now?
Somehow I think Joe is gonna come up out of there, and Hillary or Cuomo, or there's just no way they're trying to run him.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's what makes this so weird. I don't think that they intended to have such a weak candidate, right? So I think everything we're seeing with COVID-19 is kickback or blowback from us totally destroying the two-party system. Because they wanted to run another candidate instead of Biden. They wanted another person to be there. But
I don't think they wanted to run him. I
don't think they wanted Bernie or him.
I think they wanted him because he knows what to do. They want that skull and bone thing represented somewhere. They got to have that.
Okay.
And that's why Obama couldn't pick his own vice president, because that skull and bone thing is a real thing. That thing has got to be represented there. So I think they do want to run him, but they're going to run him along with a Black woman or woman of color, and things are going to move through her office versus his, because everybody can clearly see he don't know what he's talking about most of the time. He's a flipping creeper, and he's just not there mentally. He's not sharp. So, and then when I say all that, I think like they're running out of people. They are running out of options. Stick Hillary up there if you want to.
Right.
Go ahead.
Again.
Go ahead.
They're gonna,
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah. They're gonna lose again.
For me, the Democratic Party could go away tomorrow, and I would not have nothing, because then that just leaves us one enemy on our soil that we got to deal with. So if the Democratic Party goes away this time, I kind of don't care. And I think we need some really big changes. I don't think that the party is going to go away, but this rainbow coalition of all these, that's not going to make it.
No. We can't even think like that.
So I think they wanted to run him, and I just think like they're trying to find that skull and bone representation.
Yeah. But I definitely think we're seeing some retaliation for how this thing went. I think they wanted Kamala.
Oh, they did.
I
think that's who it's going to be. I don't think Stacey Abrams. She's too black. She's too black. She got nappy hair. She's a big girl. You know, like she's the Aunt Your Mama type. But you know what? Now it's crazy how so much looks play into being president now. Because if Obama wasn't so flipping good looking, he wouldn't have been president. So I mean, so just like do you remember back in the day when in the Black community you could be a singer, but you didn't have to be beautiful. You just had to be talented. They've done the same thing with these presidential places. You know, those spaces. Now you got to have somewhat of a look or some sort of swag or something. You know, because Jimmy Carter wasn't no handsome man. He was just talented.
Who, Jimmy Carter?
Yeah. You know, so like Gerald Ford. I mean, these were not good looking people, but now they expect you to be good looking, which is ridiculous.
So in your opinion, Donald Trump is good looking, or I don't know.
No, he was though. They know what he was. I don't think.
Okay, people have it stuck in his mind.
Yeah, because I'm sure these white folks look at him. They still see him when he was a young man. They know about him. You know what I mean?
Okay, I got you.
I've been reading about Donald Trump. Like I've been reading since I was like 5 years old. I was reading the Inquirer front to back at age 7. So when all this stuff was out, he did this and he did that. Well, I knew that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was no surprise. I knew exactly who he was. I've only been reading about him since I was 7 years old. So yeah, I guess some women would consider him good looking. His money definitely makes him fine for some people.
Right.
What you got here?
Well, this is a reason why we have to frame this thing. If we're not careful, we're going to have mandatory tests and mandatory vaccines, and we're going to be criminalized based on this whole fear thing. I mentioned this yesterday, but I just wanted to show proof that we have to demand that power is taken away from Fauci. Like he no longer needs to have a voice in this space, and your boy Bill Gates no longer needs to have a voice in this space, only because it is. And this is for Fauci. And this is from Nature, which is a well-respected scientific magazine. So it says engineered bat virus stirs debate over risky research. Lab-made coronavirus related to SARS can infect human cells. Now, this is an editor's note that they just put in March of 2020. We are aware that this story is being used as the basis for unverified theories. They want to say conspiracy theories, that the novel coronavirus causing COVID-19 was engineered. There is no evidence that this is true. Scientists believe that an animal is the most likely source of the coronavirus. So we're about to show that no, this is actually conspiracy fact. An experiment that created a hybrid version of a bat coronavirus, one related to the virus that causes SARS, has triggered renewed debate over whether engineering lab variants or viruses with possible pandemic potential is worth the risk. In an article published by Nature Medicine on 9 November, scientists investigated a virus called SHCO14, which is found in horseshoe bats in China. The researchers created a chimeric virus made up of a surface protein of SHCO14 and the backbone of a SARS virus that had been adapted to grow in mice and to mimic human disease. The chimera infected human airway cells, proving that the surface protein of SHCO14 has the necessary structure to bind to a key receptor on the cells and to infect them. It also caused disease in mice, but did not kill them. Although almost all coronaviruses isolate from bats have not been able to bind to the key human receptor, SHCO14 is not the first that can do so. In 2013, researchers reported this ability for the first time in a different coronavirus isolated from the same bat population. The findings reinforce suspicions that bat coronaviruses capable of directly infecting humans rather than first needing to evolve in an intermediate animal host may be more common than previously thought, the researchers say. But virologists question whether the information gleaned from the experiment justifies potential risk, although the extent of any risk is difficult to assess. Simon Wayne Hobson, a virologist at the Pasteur Institute in Paris, points out that the researchers have created a novel virus that grows remarkably well in human cells. If the virus escaped, nobody could predict the trajectory, he says. So, this one little quick part. Basically, the argument, creation of a chimera, the argument is essentially a rerun of the debate over whether to allow lab research that increases the virulence, ease of spread, or host range of dangerous pathogens, what is known as gain-of-function research. In October 2014, the U.S. government imposed a moratorium on federal funding of such research on the viruses that cause SARS, influenza, and MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, a deadly disease caused by a virus that sporadically jumps from camel to people. So the latest study was already underway before the U.S. moratorium begins, and the U.S. National Institute of Health allowed it to proceed while it was under review by the agency, says Ralph Barrick, an infectious disease researcher at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, a co-author of the study. The NIH eventually concluded that the work was not so risky as to fall under the moratorium. So who's over the NIH? And Fauci. Fauci was over the NIH. So he has blood on his hands. He's responsible. His lab under him is responsible for meddling with coronaviruses and remixing them with MERS and even HIV. He's responsible for them playing with this risky virus that they actually had been advised is too dangerous, to the point where a U.S. moratorium was put out saying we do not need to fool with this stuff. So the last paragraph, the only impact of this work is the creation in a lab of a new non-natural risk. Keep that, a new non-natural risk, agrees Richard E. Bright, a molecular biologist and a biodefense expert at Rutgers University in Piscataway, New Jersey. Both E. Brandt and Wayne Hobson are long-standing critics of gain-of-function research. Now, gain-of-function research, like I said, is when you meddle with something and make it even more virulent and more dangerous. So that's why we cannot trust Fauci. We can't mess with him. You can't fool with the guy. You there? Or you froze? You froze a little bit. So that's why we can't fool with Fauci. We can't fool with Gates. All right. Only Gates I'll listen to some Kevin Gates. But I ain't fooling with Bill Gates. So this is what we dealing with. Are y'all gonna take the chip? Are y'all gonna bow down and allow these people to do mandatory vaccines when they haven't even earned the right? They have not been elected by anybody. You know? Had to stand on that. Got to stand on that, man. Because if not, we're going to be in big trouble. Gonna be in big trouble. So yeah, that I just
Okay,
so what are your thoughts?
My thoughts is like how many times, like Q says, how many times is it mathematically impossible for all these different diseases and illnesses to be coming from that part of the country specifically, for us not to know that they're not genetically engineering this stuff, and they're using it on their own people first.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's just cut and dry for me. Like,
right.
And Fauci and Gates and all of them, they already knew. So my thing was, I heard Fauci say the other day that he knew that Trump was going to have epidemic or pandemic surprise. How did he know that? Mm-hmm. He knew that because this other mess was going on that he was privy to and a part of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and there's not a whole lot that can be said about that other than that's just what it is. Like, he's dirty. Him and Bill Gates is dirty.
Mm-hmm. And we know the long track record of Bill Gates. The fact that he caused 426,000 Indian children to have polio and basically got ran down on, kicked out of the country. That man just been doing stuff. He been doing stuff.
Please read RFK's full tweet or full Instagram post.
Share it again for me.
Yeah.
Share it for me because I lost it.
Okay.
When you dropped off.
I went out.
Yeah, it went out and you went out.
Oh, I probably won't be able to get it to come up again. Let me see. Let's see here.
Okay.
Okay, there's that. Share screen. Do you see it? Is it there?
Not yet.
I can't get it to come back up. But yeah, but that was just crazy what he had to say about that. Like, he just put him on blast.
Yeah. Well, I think we in a good position.
You do? I think it's a weird position.
It's a weird position, but like we spoke of, that remnant, at the end of the day, it's all about that remnant. That remnant is in, albeit the circumstances, okay? It's
Right.
not I feel you. But I think we are in a very good position. Our position can be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse.
Right.
We could be behind.
It wasn't talking about it at all.
Yeah. We could be straight getting rolled over and not being talked about at all. We could not even be aware of what's going on. And they actually doing stuff, but our awareness, our access to the information, now we can be clear and concise. We have the proof that Fauci and Bill Gates are traitors, so we have
people. I mean, I forget what's going on with us, and I don't ever want to forget that, but I'm just saying you could just take that completely off the table and just leave that all about white folks. And it still comes up shit is shit, and it's shit. Like,
yeah,
you could totally remove us from the equation, and it's still what it is. So, white people, check your people.
Right. Check your people, and at the end of the day, it's going to have to be another Bacon's Rebellion, and that was when John Brown rose up, and he was fighting with black folk during those times of slavery. But after that, what did they do? They said, no, we got to switch this up. We got to elevate these poor white folks a little bit higher, so they have some sort of privilege, so they won't unify with these black folks, because they almost took us out. So we got to.
Yeah.
So white folks are going to have to realize that
don't vote for interest anymore. Stop. Whatever that thing is in your head, like it's killing you, and upon it's killing you, it's killing us.
Yes.
I would like to see white folks gain their full spectrum of humanity.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not going to be able to do it until they stand up against the lower part of themselves.
Exactly.
So I think one thing we need to be focused on is definitely the Constitution. That's the only thing that separates us from a Denmark, from a Sweden, from a China. These laws that was put in place that they actually got from the Iroquois Confederation.
Right.
Yeah. So they learned from the people that were already here and said, oh man, this is interesting. They got this Confederation thing going on, so they have to learn. They're going to have to stand on the Constitution. We're going to have to stand on the Constitution and demand that all our constitutional rights are upheld,
restored and upheld.
Yeah, and that includes freedom of religion. That includes the Second Amendment, and all the way on down the line. We should find common ground on that and roll and ride on that. I think that's one of the biggest things we could do to unify everybody against this 1% that we're looking at.
It's really the top 20%.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, if you're really honest about it, it's really the top 20%. Where I live, these white folks are not just rich, they're filthy rich.
Yeah.
And we're not even a dot in their imagination. And see, the thing about this situation is that there's going to be a lot of white folks that was happy and healthy and living the illusion.
The rug about to get snatched up under them.
Yeah.
They say 300 million millionaires. 300 million millionaires were lost. Is that
millionaires? Yeah.
So that's weird. I don't know. I got to check that number, but that sounds like a lot, don't it?
That is a lot.
Wow. So,
and I think that number is right. Or was it 30 million? I'm not sure, but it was a lot. And you know what? And basically, that was all those millionaires that Obama made.
Yeah.
They didn't have that stuff in liquid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there are some real millionaires that's about to get the rug snatched out from underneath them too.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So like, I'm sure they're looking around like, okay, there's no parties. Where did the parties go? We're not smoking and drinking and having a good time. Where did that go? There's no restaurants. Where did that go? No. This shit's about to change.
So
in a real way. So a lot of folks are going to be really shell shocked, especially the folks that did not have a clue that this was coming.
Yeah. So in closing, we can use this situation to our advantage to demand that our representatives stand for us. And we actually can parlay this to a larger conversation of this is why we ask for reparations, because our people were already one crisis away
from collapse.
We were already on the edge. So
we have not been on the edge, though. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
A long, long time we've been on the fringes, on the outside looking in on our own shit. That's a real cruel joke.
It is our own shit. So, Jewel Dropper, thank you. I appreciate this conversation, and we'll chop it up soon. You got any last words for the peeps?
You know, the only thing that I have got to say is like we have really, really got to pay attention. And I know a lot of us follow Yvette and things like that, but there is something that's going on in regards to China and Africa that we're going to need to pay attention to. We can no longer just sit back and be like, okay, you know, forget Africa. Bare minimum, we need to know what's going on with that. There was a reason they was hollering Russia, 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 Russia over here. Because they didn't want us looking at China and all those dirty deals, above board and below board deals. So basically, that's just all I have to say. Keep your eyes peeled like a hawk. Stay politically educated in the geopolitics, the federal politics, and the local politics.
Yes.
Because we don't get to change this mug unless we know what it is.
Thank you.
And that's all I have to say. But anyway, it was really nice getting with you again. And you know, if stuff comes up, you know, we can get on here and chop it up.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. You have a good evening.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Peace.